Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody. We are going to move on into our second topic, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Woo. And this is a team, Mark, I found it funny because on Saturday we recorded our draft special. We talked about Leonard Fournette, which you guys will hear if you already downloaded the podcast on Blog Talk Radio. You've heard it. For YouTube, that will be out tomorrow as you guys are actually, no, the same day as this. Whoa, they're coming out the same day. You mentioned, oh, well, Gus Bradley might be fired, and then that next day he was fired.
No. We said he might get fired, and I said
he will get fired. And then he did get fired.
And he did. I knew what I was talking about.
So basically, you called it.
Me and probably everybody else, but yes.
Right now, the Jaguars have Doug Marrone as their interim head coach. There's no saying who the next head coach will be, but the one thing I found interesting is that the Jaguars GM, David Caldwell, has come out and said that he will not force the next head coach to stick with Blake Bortles. And the reason I find this funny, Mark, is because earlier in the year we had Lions guy on and we talked about, is this a make or break season for Blake Bortles? And everyone said no, that it was a stupid, stupid topic. And now it looks like, oh, was this the make or break season?
Potentially.
I'll ask you this. No matter who the head coach is next year, look into your crystal ball. Is Blake Bortles the quarterback of the Jaguars in 2017?
Yes, I think he is. I think he will still be the starting quarterback at the beginning of 2017. I don't think he necessarily is going to end the season as the quarterback. But I think that this is really a marketing technique for the team as they post the job. As you know, they give the job posting out there. They're saying, hey, we are not handcuffing you to anything. You can do whatever you want with this team. It is all yours. The only thing you cannot do, you cannot take the tarps off of those seats on the very top. Those tarps are sitting there. They are staying there. There's no way we can sell those seats. But no, they're basically saying, we are not handcuffing you. We're going to let you do anything you want. Knock yourself out. Any coach that comes in here is going to remember the end of that 2015 season and go, I might be able to get something out of Blake Bortles. The only thing that could maybe change that is they get a coach who is absolutely obsessed with one of these young quarterbacks and really, really tells, the GM, I need you to get this guy. I can win with that guy. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's the only way I see Blake Bortles not starting next year.
Next year, I think Blake Bortles is your starter. I actually think he's your starter for most of next season. You know who right now I'm going to throw out a name who I think, and this all depends on where the Jaguars end up in the draft order for 2018. You know who I could see being the next quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Who's that?
Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I could see him, easily see the Jaguars not being good with their new head coach for some reason, just because, they weren't good this season.
Yeah.
So why would they be good next season? Of course, they can do off-season and draft well, but I just don't see them being a completely turn-the-tables kind of a team in 1 year with a new head coach. That's why I kind of feel like, hey, if they could be a top-5 team again, maybe a top 3 again, they can go get Baker Mayfield, and that's the only reason why Blake Bortles wouldn't be the quarterback past 2017.
Yeah, I just think that, the team is, I think this is a much better job opportunity than L.A. LA is a place that you do not want to be if you have to be the guy responsible for building this team. They
both have their own kind of pros and cons to it.
Yes, but I think that the Jaguars are a much better opportunity because they have a lot of the pieces there. They just haven't been performing correctly, and there's been injury issues. And, hey, here's a plus. You have a draft pick in the first round.
Let me throw this curveball at you, though. You're a head coach that is looking for a job. The Jaguars are interested. You're thinking about it. Does the possibility of them being the relocation team that goes to London sway your opinion, though?
No,
I wouldn't want to go to London. I have nothing against either. I have nothing against London as a city.
It just logistically doesn't make sense.
Yeah, logistically for football, it just doesn't make sense.
No, and that's what it would be for me. Is I pretty much, as much as we joke about it, I know in my head they're not actually going. They're not actually.
See,
going
I don't know
London.
that. I don't know that for sure because
it doesn't work.
It seems like to me, and this is one of those things where I'm going to make this prediction on the podcast. If Jeff Fisher becomes the head coach of the Jaguars, they will move to London. If he becomes the head coach of the Jaguars,
because that's what he does,
they will move to London. And the reason why I say that is, of course, it takes a GM to move a team. It takes an owner to move a team also. It's not the head coach that gets that call. Jeff Fisher is a guy in the league where I see him as a yes man. He is the ultimate yes man when it comes to the league. And if they hire Jeff Fisher, in my mind, I'm going to think the owner wants to move. The NFL is pressuring them to move to London, and the owner's all for it. That's what I will think. And the reason why I say that, so you guys don't just think I'm throwing this out there, Jeff Fisher, head of the competition committee. That's a job no other head coach wanted. Who said, yeah, I'll do it? Jeff Fisher. When Michael Sam fell in the draft in the NFL, called teams and said, hey, would you think about taking this guy? Would you think about taking him? Who raised his hand and said, yep, I'll do it? Jeff Fisher.
The company man.
For Hard Knocks, no coach wanted it. Jeff Fisher, I'll take it. I'm your guy.
Yeah.
So if that's what I'm saying, if Jeff Fisher becomes the head coach of the Jaguars, they're moving to
They're not going to move
to London.
because the GM or the owner of the team has already spent nearly over $100 million of money into,
which is chip change to him.
Yeah, because
the financial mogul,
insanely rich.
There's a reason why in Madden he's the picture for the financial mogul owner.
Yeah, but he spent so much money that it's almost impossible to comprehend.
That's like $5 to us normal folk.
Yeah, seriously. I just can't see him leaving. He is trying to make this work, and it makes perfect sense. It's Jacksonville. This is a nice place. It's not the nicest place in Florida, but it's a nice place. It should
could be worse.
Work.
Could be the situation in Chicago where it gets cold in this time and then your field sucks.
Yeah, right? You know, it should work. It makes sense.
I hate how I keep going back to that, but
it's just so damn cold outside.
Yeah, and that field, man. That field, week 15 through 17, is horrible.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you guys have so many injuries. It could be the field.
No, we've had them all year. We had them before the season even started. It doesn't, to me, I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars going anywhere right now. I mean, especially not London. London doesn't make sense to me. There's a growing market in Canada and also in Mexico. I mean, Mexico has a much better market for it than I think London does.
Because the three markets that people are talking about are London, Mexico City, and Toronto. Those are the big three international markets that the NFL would like to hit. But the one thing to get off the relocation and back onto the Jaguars, I want to throw a coach name out there for you, and I want you to tell me the likability of him becoming the head coach and possibly bringing his father. Do you think this is a job that Kyle Shanahan is interested in, and do the Jaguars look at him?
Look at him, sure. I definitely think you could. I don't know if it's that appealing to a team to get the Shanahan family involved. I mean, we all remember what was going on in Washington, and it was kind of a disaster. And that was owner versus coach, or GM versus coach. Well, owner and GM, actually. So there was a lot of disagreement there. I don't think you want to get into that. Of course, this owner is very different. GM, different as well, but still, wants to get some hands in it.
It also sounds like this GM in Caldwell is very, you know what? You do what you want because what we're doing right now ain't working. So that's why it's like, change. You know what? If you want to get rid of Bortles, the sky is yours because what is on the field right now ain't working.
Yeah, and I think that I feel like you look at what was going on and you look at the way that a coach was not able to get along with his quarterback, and I don't think that's something that's appealing. I really don't.
But he's been able to get along with Matt Ryan. Now, I know Matt Ryan's a veteran, but, I mean, Blake Bortles is a veteran, too.
Matt Ryan's also a more successful quarterback. The quarterback you have right now is not that successful at all.
I will say neither Blake Bortles or Matt Ryan are RG3.
No.
RG3, good talent, not the most mature quarterback.
No, for sure. But I just think that I don't know. You're looking at a quarterback who is always not very good.
I think the Washington problem was more on RG3 than it was Shanahan. Shanahan was inexperienced. RG3 was a hothead who...
Well, and
he was a hothead who also didn't get along with ownership, so he felt like he couldn't get along with anybody in Washington.
I would more put the blame on GM and ownership. I think they and I'm not trying to take all blame away from RG3.
Yeah.
I think that they put RG3 in a weird situation. They were the two, the parents getting divorced that were saying, all right, choose.
Plus, they drafted RG3 and then drafted Kirk Cousins in the third round that same draft.
Yeah. So I think that, the rumors about Tom Coughlin and how the Jaguars still want to get Tom Coughlin out there, I think that's a very appealing thing. I think that would be
I think that'd be a great hire.
Tom Coughlin, now we were talking about John Gruden and whether he wants to leave the cushy job. Tom Coughlin does want to leave his cushy job. He does not want to be, I know he's not really commentating, but he's working for the NFL. He does not want to do that. He wants to get back there and start coaching again. So I think that's an opportunity right there for Jacksonville. It's one that makes sense out of anybody who is out, not coaching right now. That's one that makes sense to me.
Let me ask you this, and this is kind of taking a step back from throwing names out there. I just want to ask you, philosophy-wise, if you are Dave Caldwell, are you looking for a defensive-minded guy or an offensive-minded guy? Because to me, I look at it and I see, well, you can go offensive because you could say, you know what, do whatever you want with this offense that ain't doing good. Or do you say, I want to bring in a defensive guy because we've drafted pieces and I want this defense to be stronger because it obviously has much better young talent than the offense?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that my first mindset is to go with defense because that's where we've been drafting for so long here in Jacksonville. But you can't ignore guys like Thomas at your tight end. You can't ignore Hearns and Robinson and Blake Bortles. You do have a lot of investment in the offense, too. This team is just kind of all around a lot of pieces that should be performing better than they were. This whole team is underperformed. I don't think there's a losing scenario. What I see is I have a good investment in a young quarterback that's Blake Bortles. He has weapons. I want to get somebody that's going to bring more out of him. Because the defense is there. If I can just get those guys fired up, I can get a good defensive coordinator. He can take care of those guys. Let me get Blake Bortles performing how he is supposed to, how he should perform.
Because right now I'm looking, and I'm getting this information from spotrac.com. When it comes to the cap dollars, there are more players under contract on offense than defense for the Jaguars, but 50.45% of the cap is in favor of the defense, which ranks fourth in the league, compared to 43.74%, which their $65 million ranks 19th for offense. So really right now, this is a Jaguar team that is spending a lot more money, which is, I mean, compared to how they are, it's really only $10 million more dollars, where I know everyone's saying, well, whoa, Ricky, $10 million is a lot. It's $10 million separates the two, and they are the fourth highest paid defense. They're the fourth highest payroll for defense in the league.
It's a good defense. I mean, it's not absolutely incredible, but it is one of the better defenses in the NFL.
And that's why the one name I wanted to throw out there, and this is a name, this would probably be my top young defensive coach. And when I say that, a coordinator who is moving into a head coaching role, I think this could be a spot for if Coughlin falls through and then they're looking at a Shanahan or a Josh McDaniels. I think this could be a spot where they go, let's look at Sean McDermott, the defensive coordinator from the Panthers, and go with that defensive side because they are investing so much money into it.
And there's a lot of NFL teams that are going defense first, building the defense and letting the rest come later. You know, I mean, we've seen a lot of that success with Denver, with Seattle. You know, not Miami. Minnesota was supposed to be that team that followed that formula, and they probably will be next year once they finally get those guys back from injury. So there's a lot of that's going on. So it makes sense. It definitely does make sense. It's the better part of your team. I feel like the one fear I would have about that is you get a defensive coach and then you have this wasted talent on the offensive side of the ball, and you have a quarterback who is underperformed and will continue to do that, and then you have him just be let go and you bring in a new guy, and you're not going to have anyone to develop the new guy. Mm-hmm. That would just be the thing that scares me. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to offense, defense, but I just feel like the situation you're in lends itself to needing someone to coach and mentor that offensive weapon that you're hopefully going to get or already have in Bortles.
And the thing I'll say, and this will kind of bring it back to what we did in the beginning to wrap this Jaguar conversation up, is Blake Bortles, to me, is he a bad quarterback? No, but I think with this situation, he is not the long-term answer in Jacksonville. I think 2017 will be his year, meaning it's your year to have it. We are drafting a guy in 2018 because the quarterback class is a lot deeper than it is right now.
Yeah, that's what they say every year.
But it wouldn't also surprise me if a new coach comes in and goes, yep, you know what, I want Trubisky, I want Watson right there at 3. Yeah. Fuck it, let's take him.
You're there, so why not?
I mean, right now, do I think a quarterback's going to go in the first round? No. You can look at my mock draft for that. But when we get to the draft, somebody might take a flyer on a quarterback.
Someone's taking a quarterback in the first round. It's going to happen.
And it's going to be interesting to see what the Jacksonville Jaguars do. Of course, they got to hire their new head coach. Who knows? Maybe Doug Marrone gets the interim tag lifted off of him and he becomes the head coach. I mean, There's nothing ruling that out either, but this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below what you guys think about Blake Bortles' future in Jacksonville. Who should Jacksonville bring in to replace Gus Bradley? What do you think is this team's MO, and not just this year's draft, but maybe next year's draft when it comes to a quarterback? Let us know down below in the comment section. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the onside kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.